Hi Aristotle. In today's lecture, we will talk about two subjects, being and change. Come on. We will start now.
Perfect, Master.
Look, Aristotle, I state that the concept of being is based on the fact that there are two existing worlds. Our world, the one below, is the physical one. And above this one, we have the ideal or platonic one, which is much more real. The world in which we live is a reflection of the platonic world.
Okay, so for you, the ideal world is the reality we need to achieve. That's what you want to say?
Exactly, yes. Look, imagine that you spend your life tied up in a cave looking at the wall, and behind you there's a wood fire, and people walk past it with different objects in their hands. If that happens, you will spend your whole life seeing only the shadows of objects, and that will be the reality for you. But in the truth, it is not reality because you never see the objects. Reality is based on the theory of forms. The shadows you see are ideals, and the objects are actually reality.
Oh, okay, so I'm not seeing the reality or the real beings, but just my idea of these ones.
Oh, yes, you are correct. Now, speaking of change, this is something transcendental that modifies the perspective of reality of something. In other words, it is when people appreciate their surroundings with the purpose of giving meaning to everything.
What? I don't get it.
Look, going back to the cave, change will occur if one day you manage to get out of the cave and realize that the shadows you saw your whole life are real things. At that moment, you realize that the things are different, and you change your idea that objects can only be one way.
Oh, okay, I understand your idea. For you, change is when we open our eyes and we realize that things can be very different from what we thought.
Yes, look, an easiest example of all this is when you reach adult life. When we are little, we have an idea that this one is pure freedom and enjoyment. But when we reach that era, we realize that it's not what as we thought. Just like it happens in the cave.
Master, I find your theories very interesting, but I don't totally agree with them. I think that your way of analyzing and philosophizing is really different from mine. May I share my thoughts with you?
Sure, Aristotle, I'm listening.
Look, Master, for the concept of being, I do not believe that there are two worlds. Instead, I believe that there is just one great physical universe and that someone or something impelled the creation of this one. I also consider that there is no infinite regress and that physical reality is based in two components: substance, which is what things are made of, and essence, which is what things really are or their purpose.
So, in summary, you mentioned that instead of existing two worlds, there is a great universe in which things are based on the material and its objective or essence.
Exactly. And to consider that something is real, we need to have several factors or answer to some questions. For example, we need to answer to a formal cause, which is what the thing is. Then we need to have a material cause, which is with which material the thing was made. After, we need to have an essential cause, which is who made it. And finally, we have the final cause, which is what the thing is for. And as you can see, if you can't answer some of these questions or you don't have some of these factors, it's because the thing does not exist. It is not in our reality, it is just not real.
What? I don't understand what you mean.
Look, it's like when you have a dress. You know it's a real thing, you can feel it, you can touch it, it is real. But you also can feel the factors or the questions that I mentioned before. For example, does the dress have a formal cause? Yeah, it is a dress. Does the dress have a material cause? Yeah, it is made of cloth. Does the dress have a essential cause? Yeah, it was made by a seamstress. And finally, does the dress have a final cost? Yeah, it was made for dressing, for people to use it. So you see, you can feel the four questions, the four components, and you know it is real. And you can do it with anything around you, because they are real things.
Oh, okay. Well, now I understand.
Look, master, my concept of change is very different from yours. For me, change is based on the essence of things. Like when a thing or a person reach their mass where they can achieve no more, is there when we see change. Is there when we realize that there are different things, that we can have something or we don't, or that something that we thought that it was good, it is not. Is there when we start to see life like in a different way, and not just life, like the objects, person, people. Is there where change is made.
Oh, okay, okay. I accept your point of view, but we have different philosophical theories.
To conclude, I can say that I agree with all the theories of Aristotle, and I think that is because he explains like everything really well. For example, talking about the concept of being, I also believe that there is just one physical universe, and I truly think that things to be real, you need to get to know them, touch them, feel them, and he explains that with all the costs, like the formal costs, the essential costs, and all of that stuff. Also, talking about change, I agree with him because I have experienced that yes, when we reach that point that we're doing like so well, we try to innovate and make many changes. So yeah, I think that he gets to that point in his description in theory, and that's why I believe that he's the best one.
I agree with Plato because in the theory of the cave, I think it's interesting, but I started agreeing with him when I applied it to real life and saw the example of adult life, that you realize that things are not the way you thought, and you realize that life is really hard and not pure enjoyment and excitement and being happy.